reviews. We have a real treat for you today because there's a crazy rabbit hole with our movie from today. It's called DRISHYAM. I watched the whole movie. I watched the Hulu version. I think that's the same one you guys watched, right?
Whatever's on Hulu.
I watched one on Netflix.
You watched it on Netflix.
Uh-huh.
Therein might be the problem. Okay. So there are 7 versions of this movie. So when a Fuzzy talks about, I like that movie, I'm gonna da-da-da-da. There's 5 different Indian versions. There's a Chinese version. It got optioned to be in America. Like, there's a lot of versions. Now, the Hulu version, I'm not sure what the difference is with the Netflix version and the Hulu version, but the Hulu version was the original version. And I didn't think, we're going to watch this movie. And I picked one and I watched it. And it wasn't until I was done with it and I was cutting our faces off and making the thumbnails and having fun that I was like, why, when I'm looking up the images of this to stick my face or Josh's face or Liz's, whoever's face on this thing, do I have a bunch of people that look the same but aren't the same over and over on these movie posters? I'm like, that looks like them, but that's not them. This woman looks the same as the one that was in that. Like, what the fuck? So I went down the rabbit hole, and this shit was released. It's not like they just did it in Hindi and then they dubbed it in the other dialects. They just remade the whole movie in the different dialects. So every dialect of Indian has a different version of this movie, which I found to be,
And they're back to back. It's not like it was made. One was made in 1970. The other one was made in 1990. Like, it was one in 2015, one in 2017, one in 2018. It's like, dang, man. Like,
you saw that?
Yeah, no, I saw that. Like, I was laughing at the fact that, like, because when I was watching this movie, right, I go, I got it. Like, I understood the whole thing right after he took control. As soon as the dad took control and they were showing you all those cuts, I knew what was going to be. The only thing I didn't call was the tail end, like the actual ending of the movie where they're like talking. I went, okay, that's cool. Like, that moved points up in my book, but I called it. So I was like, I kept going like, this is no Ad Hadan. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where you don't know where it's going and like you're just on this ride. And then when you sent that to me today, I was like, why the fuck did someone make this many versions of this? Like, it's good. Like, it was good, but I was like, it doesn't need 20 versions of it. Like, just show this one and you're good and shit. Like, you're good to go.
So did you guys watch the Hindi version?
I watched whatever was on Hulu.
The original version is Mayama, something like that. Let's see.
It had a lot of anti-smoking videos, so Fuzzy was a little upset with that because, I thought they were like yelling at me and shit. So I was like, I was smoking a cigarette right when it happened. I was like,
where'd you watch it at, Fuzz?
At the house. I was just sitting here this morning.
What service?
Hulu.
Ah, and it had the commercials on your. Mine didn't get overrun with.
No, it was like part of the movie. Like, they do the intermission like in the middle.
Oh yeah. I did see one.
And then it was like it popped up, and it was like they didn't have subtitles, but you could see it was lungs. And I was like, that doesn't look good. So the commercial didn't work.
But I mean, the narrative of the movie is the same in all the versions, right?
I think so, yeah.
So
I assume so.
We're not going to be talking about like we saw different versions of Clue at different theaters and the ending was different.
Was George Cuddy thin or thick in your version, Josh? Do you have a beard or a mustache?
Is he the one that plays VJ?
The main character.
Yeah,
the dad.
He had a mustache and he was pretty thin.
Yeah, you watched a different version.
Yeah,
the version we watched. It was a chunky guy with a beard.
What?
And his name wasn't VJ. It was George Cuddy.
Yeah, it was Cuddy. Yeah,
that was the name of the dad.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So this will be a first stuff, dude. This will be the first stuff we've seen too. We should even make this a thing where we fucking find like, you know, there's the remake and the original. One of us watches the remake, the other one watches the original. Like, we go from there and shit like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I like I was saying, I didn't realize it until I was making the thumbnail, and I was like, all right, well,
yep.
I guess this kind of looks like the guy, but
I mean, the version I saw was really good. I mean, it was clean, it was like well edited, and you know, all that kind of stuff. It was a great film.
Then I need to watch that one, because the one I watched, it looked like Fuzzy and his friends made it, like even down to some of the fight scenes, like when they're beating the shit out of the family. I was like,
oh no,
I was like, really, dude?
In that scene, that was like some brutal stuff. There was one time where a punch was thrown where it obviously didn't connect, but like every other time, man, I thought they were slapping those hoes, man.
No, they in our version, they were like this. Like, even the mean cop was like hitting the woman like, no, and I was like, that's not torture. I've been hit like that before, dude. Like, you know, I'd be like showing him punching her, like, you know, in the face and shit. But I don't know. I think the one we saw was the original, right?
We saw the original.
Because that's what it looked like. Like, when I was watching, I go, oh, this is like their version of like a 90s movie or like an 80s movie. Like, okay, you know, like I'm with it, you know, kind of thing. And that's how I called the whole thing, because I was like, I know this plot. Like, it reminded me so much of, there's a movie with Liam Neeson and Meryl Streep and Edward Furlong called Before and After. And it had very much the same tone to it, you know what I mean? And it came out in the 90s and stuff. But like, it very much is different. It just, you know, it's got the same notes, the same thing. So I was like, okay, I'm in. Like, I like these kind of stories, you know. It was just the tail end. In your version, Josh, did it have the mom cop talking to the dad at the end, asking for forgiveness?
Yeah.
Like, that was the thing in the movie that I fucking loved. Like, that was the one part of the movie.
I think Josh's mom cop was hotter. Josh's mom cop.
Oh yeah, no,
when I saw
that picture.
The picture, she had like a uniform on, and it was tight, and it was like, yeah, she had like.
She was super intimidating too. She was like, the minute she comes on the screen, you're like, oh, this is Darth Vader right here.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I was like,
the casting was great in this one. That, like, some of the dialogue when they're like kind of like talking to each other and insulting each other and stuff like that, like, the people are exactly what you would imagine that they would look like. It's just great.
That makes sense. Okay, so let's run through the plot. This is cool because, like I said, that's why I wanted to get started early, because I thought there was a lot to unpack with this. Okay, so the girl goes to camp. The eldest daughter goes off to camp. The son of the police chick is pervy.
Chief, we'll say, or whatever.
Yeah, the police chief is pervy. And he's taking videos of her like in the shower, and he says, "Hey, you got to do favors for me, or I'm gonna put your stuff all over the internet." And she's worried about, like, their family thinks they're gonna have to commit suicide if pictures of the daughter come out. So, you know, I didn't
get that part. But
that part wasn't really clear in the version I saw. I mean, the whole thing with him, like, filming her in the shower and stuff, that was all there. But, like, they were worried about their family being shamed, and then they're not, like, getting any, like, opportunities in the future because they would be shunned. That's kind of how it came across in the version I saw.
Like, no, in our version, that's the part that threw me for a loop when she was like, "We're gonna all have to commit suicide." I was like, "Why? Like, what the?" I was like, I get the shame, the shunning and the shaming. Like, I understood that part of it, but I was like, when she said we had to commit suicide, I was like, is that part of their religion or something, dude? Like,
well, and it wasn't like, that was my thing. It wasn't like, and maybe that's, you know, like we've got Radioactive Curry has the most interaction with our people who watch us do this, and I really want to ask, you know, our watchers, like, especially people from India, is it that video, if that were to happen in the States and some guy were to release a video of him almost assaulting, is assaulting the right word?
Well, technically it could be considered assault because you are videoing someone without their permission.
Yeah, he's the one that gets in trouble. Like
Yeah,
the girl doesn't
exactly.
get in trouble, and that'll go away. It'll be
But
hard for that to stay.
But that's why I like the ending. That's what I loved about that fucking ending. Like it was like there's movie La La, right? Like in Hollywood, there's movie La La. So in the endings, they always wanted to end on that fucking note. You know what I mean? It's either gonna be, your fucking hero gets his vengeance. You know what I mean? And the fucking they make the bad guy that bad. As mean as that cop was, right? As mean as the chief was. If you were in her situation, wouldn't you be the same way? Like you could relate with both of them. That's the brilliancy of it.
Let me ask something for clarification. You know, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but when you're talking about that end scene, was it the police chief and her husband there plus the father?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So just the way you were describing it, you made it sound like it was just her and then the dad.
Well, because the dad was very much like, I think the calm of it. You know what I mean? Like they were the two sides. You know what I mean? Yeah. The one was very calm. The other one's just like, fuck this. We're killing this motherfucker. You know, where I'm coming for revenge because she's, like you said, she's Vader of the movie.
They had to switch masculine, feminine roles with that.
And it works. And it works so good. Yeah. But the point, like the dialogue when they're talking to each other, and because the dad's not going to admit it, they know that, and that's why they're out in the field. You know what I mean? And he's just sitting there like that, and the mom's saying like, or the dad's telling him because the mom's just embarrassed finally realized what she did, and he goes, they knew the video because the guy told them what he did, so they knew. Their side, like they put themselves in that shoe, and same way. And at the end, the guy put himself in that shoe, and they kind of had a meeting, an understanding that it wasn't like an intentional, it was an accident, or not an accident. I can't say an accident. It was more, it's something their son did bad. You know what I mean? It's like your son did something bad, and if that was your daughter, you would probably they finally realized that at the end. And they just let it go, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like I was just.
Well, they had an idea once they pulled their son's buddy to the side, and that was when they decided, like, hey, man. Okay, so I want to try to dig into differences. So it's not George Cuddy, it's VJ in yours, right?
Yes.
Okay. So. God, I had it, and I was thinking about what Fuzzy was saying, and it yanked it from my head. So,
my bad.
VJ's good in the. He has good standing in the village.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and then he gets bullied by the neighbor cop.
Yeah. The Officer Gaitand.
I don't remember the guy's name.
They didn't talk. He was just dark-skinned mustache guy.
Yeah. That's what he looked like. That's why I was commenting that like they had this tension between them during the whole like setup for the movie, and at one point, VJ the dad, he basically like tells other people like in front of that corrupt cop, he tells them like, oh, and some people are just blood-sucking brown bed bugs. And I'm like, damn, that's cold-blooded. That dude's right there.
But the other thing I love that I don't know if they did it in your version, but in our version, how they kept bringing up like who graduated, like the wife graduated from 4th grade, and he's got a 10th grade, something like that. And I kept laughing.
George Cuddy was 4th grade. She was 10th grade.
Okay, something like that.
Was it the same in yours, Josh?
Yes, sir.
And so I kept laughing. I'm like, why are they fucking like drilling this into our head? Like, is this going to come back later? Is the fucking principal of their junior high going to be part of the scheme or something? Like, just I didn't know. But then it clicked at the point when they're in the interrogation room, and she's like, "This guy, they're fucking idiots. Like, look at them. Look at on paper, they should be dumber than shit." And you're just like, "Oh, dude, that's what it was. Like, they're trying to drill in. Like, these people think that they're dumb." And fucking, he's smarter than it's not even that he's smarter. He just knows what he has to do. Like it's like a checklist that he went through all the movies that he's watched.
So did VJ watch a bunch of movies? Was that his thing?
Yeah, okay. He ran a.
That was my question. That reminded me.
Yeah,
Yeah, he ran the
okay,
cable
so
company.
Same thing.
Dude,
Okay.
when I went through, once I was like, oh shit, I wonder if we're all watching the same movie. I went and I looked at the preview for the VJ one, and it looked like they were using the same angles for shooting. Like when he throws the phone up into that truck, when he wraps it in the paper towel, it was the same angle of the shot. It looked like it was set in the same place. It's like they had like 5 different sets of clones of people, and they all took turns shooting the same scene over and over again. It's kind of cool.
Did you guys notice, just as an aside, did you guys notice that one of the towns that they visited, I think it was the one where they went to go see the Swami preach, or at least pastor was
George Cuddy.
Yeah,
George Cuddy. Yeah, the Goa was the name of the town.
Yeah,
George Cuddy. Our people were Christian.
Yeah,
they went to church.
Yeah, that was the
they
one.
didn't go to see Swami.
It threw me off because I was like, there's this one point where he turns around and there's a picture of Jesus right there. He does like this, and I went, wait, what? I was like, oh,
yeah.
Okay, cool.
So apparently, so this region that we watched it from, the original region, apparently there's like I know that there's a population of Christians in India. It might be left over from colonization and whatnot. You know, so they're the saved Indians. But you know, that was something I really wanted to drill in with you, Josh, but you didn't get too much of that. So I thought it was cool.
I didn't get any of that. I think they were Hindus in my version, because they went to listen to a Swami give a presentation, and like the wife had the red dot on her head, and he had a little shrine like on the wall in his cable business where he like prayed to it and stuff like that. So in my version, there was like, I think I saw a church in the background in one shot, but that was it. They didn't go into a church. It had nothing to do with like Christianity at all.
Oh, that's interesting. So out of everything, that's the one
that's
point
the one
of deviation
thing.
that we can find.
So in your version, the story that he concocts is that they went. In my version, the story he concocts is they went out of town for the weekend to go listen to this Swami preach, and that he got all the receipts from that area to kind of like back his story.
Went to the movies.
Yeah.
Got ice cream. We're talking to people on the bus.
So, in your version, did they go to hear like a pastor speak or something, or no?
Yeah, it was like a church. They went to a church to hear him speak.
Well, they didn't hear him speak though. They were at the church hanging out. They went to the church and they were hanging out at the church.
Right. That's what
I think.
They didn't hear the Swami preach in mine either. They picked up the DVD and watched it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
We didn't get until we found out how clever George Cuddy was. Which I was just like, dude, you know what? Like I had an idea what he was doing, but it did flip for me when I first saw. My initial thoughts as I'm watching it and it's revealing, it's just like, oh, last week, and people might be confused, 1 day or 2 days off, but the days might not line up right. And once it came out that when he went to go ditch the car, he was driving around getting all the receipts from the right day.
Yeah.
And then he brought the family back out the next day and did all that stuff, and then went back out again and talked to every one of the people that he was going to get to be a witness, and cleverly casually got them to realize what day it was, and you know, well, and that acted in a way that it was clever. It was clever.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing for me. Like, I kind of like, okay, now he's going to have to start covering his tracks and like doing this and that and the other. But when it started unfolding just how deep he went, I was like, oh, this guy's a genius. He is smart.
Like I called where the body was going to end up being when he opened the garage door in that scene where he's talking to that guy. And he's talking about we got to get cement. I was like, that's where he's going to bury the body. Like, I knew it. I knew. I was like, why are you telling us this?
But he didn't bury the body in that garage that they opened.
He buried it in the police station.
Yeah, that was his garage. And
Right.
when the guy told him, yeah, we just put the slab down in there, he was just making sure that it was covered.
Right, exactly.
Which was like, I was like,
but that's like the scene that like got me, where I was like, oh, it's a great shot, because it's just like the way he gives him the paperwork and signs it off, and he just stands up, and they cut back and forth.
When he was showing him the garage, I was like, okay, this is random.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, again, Fuzzy, I'm telling you, I think I would have been a good detective, because when random shit happens, I start paying attention. I go, why? But then they'll catch me with that too sometimes, where like I'll be watching a certain movie and there's a random thing and I'm paying so close attention to that thing, and then all of a sudden the movie's just playing in front of me and I'm not, I'm like, no, this is coming back, dude. Like, this is coming back and shit. But it paid off this time. But I was like, dude, the one thing that got me again was just that, because I was watching, I go, what are they going to start dancing or something at the end? Because there was still a little bit left, and they had already revealed all stuff, and I went, what the fuck's going on? And then that's when they met up, and then they had that scene. And I'm telling you, dude, like as a writer and everything like that, that's not your Hollywood scene. You know what I mean? It's not perfect. It's fucking just, it's reality, dude. Like, you know what I mean? It's very real. That's a very real story. Like, as weird as that to say about a guy who buried fucking did all that shit shit's possible. You know what I mean? In this movie, there's no kung fu. There's no car chases. There's nothing like that. So literally, we can go out and make this American version of this movie. You know what I mean? For nothing. Yep. So that's now I know why they made so many of them, because it's cheap. You know what I mean? It's very easy to do. It's a good story, but like back to back to back, that's like making Matrix Part 1 and then going like, you know what? I didn't like Neo's hair in that. Let's redo the whole fucking movie and let's fucking do it. You know what I mean? Let's do. You're like,
get a different guy to be Neo.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we like Keanu, but let's get somebody else to do it. Like, like I was just like, all right, fuck, dude. And that's what I mean. Like, I think
maybe like certain people in that, because and this is another one for the watchers, like. Is because we don't see that a lot. At least I haven't seen it yet, of them just remaking the movies in different languages. Where does the Malaga? I don't. Forgive me if I'm saying it wrong. I thought it was Malaga. Where does that rank in the hierarchy? Why wouldn't they just dub it like they do the Telugu and Hindi for everyone? Like, why would they make? I mean, maybe it was that good and that cheap to where you can recycle that plot across a bunch of different.
Yeah. It was good. It's a good plot, dude. Like, it is. It's a legit, like I'm telling you, like, I was like, oh, okay, I dig this, dude. Like, it just, the look kind of killed it for me a little bit, and, like that kind of stuff. But
you should watch my version. My version was tight.
I literally, I want to see her, because I was like, oh, they actually.
Yeah, I'm tempted to do it too. Did it feel like the first 30% when they were establishing the relationship between the family and George Cuddy or VJ in the neighborhood? Did it feel like that was a little bit convoluted and long?
No, not really.
It
all felt very organic.
Well, it felt like you kind of needed it a little bit at the end to have some care, to have some understanding of where his place was in the village, kind of. But I still felt like there was a little bit of fat there.
No, you could have trimmed some of it. Yeah,
I don't know if the scenes correlate, if they're exactly the same, but the way that it came across in my film is that you just got the sense that the people respected him, that he was an upstanding member of the community. And like later on in the narrative, it comes out that, it's because of his background and, how they saw him live his life and everything like this, that everybody had his respect. But there wasn't like any, it didn't seem like there were any drawn out scenes. It came out during various other scenes that were taking place where, Gaetan was always like threatening to find something on him, and people are like, you're not going to find anything on him. That guy's like, he's got a heart of gold. That's what they would say.
Okay, that makes sense. So, I like this one. I want to score it highly. I feel like I wish I would have known. I mean, you give credit to the because there's one of our subscribers has been Drisham 1, Drisham 2, and there is a sequel, and the sequel is not in our version, Fuzz. So if we're gonna watch,
how do you make a sequel to that?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
There-
I don't want
there's-
to.
Because
I'm not-
if the kid comes back from the dead, I'm in, dude. Let's fucking let's do it.
Walking Drisham.
You fuck yeah, dude. I'll watch that shit, dude. I'll be like, oh, it just went to the right, dude. I love it.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Usually when there's a sequel, we have tended towards getting right into it. I want to let this one simmer a little bit. We'll cruise that one get that one down the pipe a little bit. I think it would be best served, especially the way that there was 2 different movies that we watched the same movie. It's a first, you know.
That's
we've been
first, yeah.
we've been doing this for like 3 years now. That's a first. So.
That's pretty dope, though. Well, it'd be like us watching. It was like I still remember watching La Femme Nikita, the original movie, and when I watched that movie, it was my first Luc Besson movie I ever seen. And then like a year later, they put out Point of No Return here in the United States, which was the American version of that. And I remember going to see it, and they had like certain shots that are exactly the same, but like it wasn't the same movie. You know what I mean? Like it had 2 different feels to it. So back in that, that's something we can start looking into, like finding like, you know, the like, again, like I swear I don't know what it's called, but there's a Hindi version of Forrest Gump that everyone raves about. Like when I read about any movie, they say it's like the best remake, you know, of a movie. But I guess that one's like 3 hours long instead of the fucking normal 2. I was like, oh my god, dude.
We need to watch.
They talked about that in our comments. They were like, don't do it.
They said,
Yeah, our people are telling us don't do Forrest Gump. They said you're not gonna. Well, they said it'd be a waste of time.
yeah,
maybe we'll get to the point where we run out of movies and want to go back to that one. But
we need to watch the Indian version of Thriller. Is what we need to watch.
Oh man, dude. Wait till when we hit the live show. I got some treats for you guys in that. Along that. I spent a little bit of time putting some stuff in for the show today. So
you know, I got to say one other thing too is that movies like this whole radioactive curry thing that we started down has been fantastic, and it makes it very difficult for me to maintain my presence as the jaded geek. Because these movies, like, I look forward to watching them. I have higher expectations, and generally speaking, they don't fail, you know, in such a hard way. So, you know, I kind of feel like I got to take the glasses off for these.
Then, you know what, dude? Then I think I'm the opposite. I'm not lying, guys. I'm not trying to be mean, but every time I go, oh, okay, let's see what this trailer is, and the trailer just does not sell me. I'm like, fucking shit, dude. I gotta spend 3 hours watching this shit, you know what I mean? And I'm like, and I'll sit down and I'm like even the poster for one of the movies we just watched, it's like the family smiling, you know, like this. And I'm like, if I was the guy making the poster, that is not what I would put on the poster, dude. It's fucking people smiling, riding a motorcycle. Like,
but Fuzzy, all the movies that we've watched from India so far, like, I agree. All of them are fantastic. So why would you walk into it with like low expectations?
Because, dude, okay, when you go to the hospital, right? Plug yourself into the heart monitor. How does it go? Up, down, up, down, up, down. We have been up this whole time. It's gotta fall, dude. And I keep going like this, like, then this next one's gonna be it, dude. This is gonna be the one where I go on there and go, what the fuck did you guys?
We've seen a number over a period of that were made over a period of years, and they're mostly pretty recent, and they're all way better than what we gotten here in the States.
I agree. I agree.
And we are getting recommendations from our watchers. They're saying that these are our best. Like if we were to stumble across somebody in Vietnam watching American movies, and we were to hand pick, you gotta watch Empire Strikes Back. You gotta watch Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah. You know, like, we could keep them going for a while, you know.
Steer them in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. and audience, you guys are doing great about it. Like, cause I'm telling you, we're all.
Yeah, they're helping us shoot fish in a barrel for sure.
We appreciate the comments, you know.
We totally do, but like, just please help me out with one thing. Find me a dub version because Fuzzy tries really hard to read everything, and I'm doing my best because I love dialogue. So it's like that's the thing that kills me about these movies. I can't pay attention to what's happening because I'm just trying to read everything.
It is one of the things that's a little concerning to me sometimes, because you're trying to split your time between watching what's taking place with the actors, because in the version that I saw, the acting was fantastic. And so you're kind of captivated by that. But you got to watch the dialogue. And so sometimes I'm worried, like, did I miss some context here? Is there like, because when you guys talked about like, oh, we're going to have to commit suicide, like, I don't think that happened in my version, but it's theoretically possible that I just missed like an entire line of dialogue, you know?
Right.
Because I'm watching what's happening on the screen and I'm not looking at the subtitles on the bottom. And the only movie that I think that we watched that was dubbed was Go Go Gone. Everything else had subtitles. So
no, what was the X? Yeah, the X-Men
one.
And the X-Men one was dubbed.
Oh, the Brahmastra?
Yeah, that was dubbed. And so was RRR. RRR was dubbed too.
RRR wasn't dubbed for me.
Oh, it was dubbed for me, man.
Balu Bali and RRR were dubbed.
Oh,
I love that, dude.
I don't think I watched. I think the only one that I saw that was dubbed was Go Go Gone. Everything else I had to read.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah.
All right. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, let's give our numbers, dude. Let's give our numbers.
Yeah, I like this one. There was an element of predictability about it, but it was still good. It didn't take away from like my respect of what was happening in the movie. So, and I wanna change my format with these movies now because I think we have enough context with them. I want to put this one like at a 9.5.
Woo!
I'm waffling. I'm waffling from 9 to 10. Well, think about that influence, man. This movie got fucking 7 movies made. The same fucking movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm 9.5, man. 9. I mean, it's almost. It looked like the production quality, like, could have been. That's it. Because the acting was solid, the writing was solid. It looked like if they had a little bit more budget going on, which is probably what Josh got a hold of.
Yeah.
You know, like, dude. So that's what I got on this one.
There,
for sure.
There weren't any production issues on the version I saw. So.
All right, Jada, what do you think?
Well, this movie definitely is in my top 3 films that I've seen from India. It's RRR, Andhadhun, and then Drishyam. Definitely top 3. It's hard for me to say. Obviously, I can't give it a 10. Doesn't meet my standards for a 10. So this is like a hard 8 or a soft 9. It's up there. The only reason I like Andhadhun better is because of what Fuzzy said, that it's got like it was unexpected in a lot of ways. There were like plot twists. You're like, what the hell? The guy can see, and now he's blind. What? You know what I mean? So it's because of those twists, it was like a little bit more like exciting, a little more captivating. But this one was like it was solid from front to back. Story good, and the acting was great. I mean that General Inspector lady, just intimidating. Like when she comes on the screen and she's giving that stare, you're like, oh shit, it's going down. So yeah, it's a fantastic film. It's going to be on my rewatch list for sure.
I recommend switching versions.
We'll see.
Fuck, dude. Maybe I am the Jada geek of Radioactive Curry because I was gonna say a 7. Like I was gonna say a 7, and then I read, and then I thought about it for a while, and I said, it's got, because the only reason why I would give it a 7 is because, again, I did predict it. Like I predicted it, I understood it. It didn't, just like you were saying, I had no idea what I was going on. I was like, oh fuck, I'm in, dude. Like just take me down the rabbit hole with you. This one, I felt like I was just like, okay, so this is gonna happen next. You know what I mean? And then right towards the end, when they did that scene together, I was just like, this is beautiful. Like, this is great. Like, because again, you don't see that. And that's something I love. Like, I love an ending of a movie where you're going like one of my favorite movies of all times is Hell or High Water, and it's because one of the reasons why is because of the ending. It's like, you know, these two guys know, like the one guy's a bank robber and the other guy's a fucking cop, and he's telling them, he's like, well, don't worry, you know, because the families there, they don't want to get into a fight, you know, they don't want to kill each other. He's like, but don't worry, one day we'll see each other, you know, kind of thing. And they walk off, the movie ends, and that's kind of like how this ended. Was like, I understand why you did this, you know what I mean? I did this. So no one wins. Like, there's no winners in this story. They both lose. They're both losers, you know what I mean, in this thing. So that's it. It's a great ending. So from that, it bumped it from a 7 up to an 8.5, 9. I'm with you, Jay the Geek, on that, dude. Like, it's right there. You know what I mean? It's a very well done movie. It's smart. You know what I mean? It's very smart. Even though I could predict it, it still was very smartly written. The opening, which I found like kind of slow, like we were saying, I still dug it a lot because it pays off in the end. Like, I didn't sit through that for nothing. You know, like everything pays off, like even down to the playful banter that he does with his daughters and his wife. How he's almost trying to be the macho guy. You know, he's telling them, you know, a man does this and blah blah blah, but then he'll look at him and smile and like he's just teasing him and kind of thing. And I love the main character. I was happy, you know, for him and stuff like that. Like, I understood it, so I loved it. Giving it an 8.5. Boom, done. 8.5.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Great movie. Check it out. DRISHYAM. Whatever version you get, I'm sure it's going to be a good time. And Radioactive Curry, man, it's not disappointing us. So just keep it coming, guys. Keep it coming. You take us out, Fuzz?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Don't forget to have some love, some peace, and that Popeye's grease. Woo!